with that, I open the floor to Q&A. Yes, please circulate the mic.
Hi guys, my name is Tara Subramaniam. I am at the sunset of my career. You girls are at the sunrise of your careers. I have no questions. There are only two things I want to tell you all. I think it's been really interesting. And I've been in the finance world for the last 40 years. So I think I know what people feel when you're the only person and you have 400 men around. When, outsiders come and pretend you're just one figure, talk to your juniors because they are male. I understand all that. But I think I want to tell you all something. You guys who are entrepreneurs, it's very, very important to understand that we women at different stages in life go through physical changes in our life which actually stops us from achieving our goals. Like, you have your periods, you have your pregnancy, you have your post-pregnancy depression, then you have your menopause, various things which are not looked at all. If you slip up somewhere, I've heard women say, oh, PMS. I think we need to give that kind of importance to our women colleagues, make also the men colleagues understand that our bodies are a little different. I think that, there's a huge study going on that, hormonal changes and all. Another two things is that all you guys are very young here. We are talking about how women and men should be treated equally. I just beg all of you to bring up your sons in a manner that you would bring up your daughters. Don't do the difference, because I think what happens is instinctively we tell our sons, oh, this is not your job. We tell our daughters, oh, but you must do this. Don't do that. You all are getting an opportunity to raise children who are going to be gender, what do I say? Same kind of a thing, and bring them up that way. That's all that I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's the power of bringing women together, right? You get to hear such good stories from everyone, both on the panel and off the panel. But anyone else quickly? One last. Yeah.
I am Priya Subbaraman, and until 2 weeks ago, I was the Chief Regulatory Officer of the National Stock Exchange, and Mona and I have become entrepreneurs, as of 4th of July. But I just wanted to make one point. Tara and Manisha, all of us have been in financial services, I think, for 30 years, and we've all gone through exactly the same journey. No women in the room, last chair, the whole lot. So you're never going to be at the front, etc. But the reason why I wanted to make a comment was to actually give one piece of information to everybody. Everybody thinks that trading, securities markets is a man's game. We've seen 25-year-olds make salaries of a few $1 million, and therefore we believe it's a man's game. I just want to make one point. In the National Stock Exchange, when I quit as of 2 weeks ago, I was the Chief Regulatory Officer. My head of surveillance is a woman, and my head of inspection is a woman. So therefore,
your regulator after so many decades finally is a woman.
The regulator is a woman, finance minister is a woman, but just think about it. So all of these guys who are doing whatever it is that they're doing, the surveillance head and the inspection head is the one controlling them. And believe me, they're doing a great job. I just wanted to make the point to all the young women here.
Thank you so much for sharing. I love this, when stories are shared all across. And with that, someone has? Yeah.
Hi, so I'm Beena Saxena, and I'm from IMS University. So I come from a sector which is female dominated. All our lives, I've been in an industry dominated by women, and I must say there's discrimination, reverse discrimination, women discriminating against men. And it's we women who kind of look down on the guys who join the education sector. How come he's in education? So I think we're not any different. So when you are in a male-dominated world, the discrimination is from the males. You're in a female-dominated world, it's the women who are discriminating. But we've had a great time dominating the men, occupying the topmost position, no glass ceilings. So we've rocked it all, and I love it. Thank you.
Lovely. Anyone else?
So it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for your perspectives today. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to both of you and also Upasana. I wanted to ask, sometimes the going gets tough when we're working on our startups as entrepreneurs. And I just wanted to ask, how do you stay resilient? Is there something that either gives you joy or meaning that you keep with you as a thought at the top of your mind to make it through those tough days? Because I think we have those moments, and sometimes I'm not sure what will help me to stay resilient. So, yes.
I can take that. I think what keeps me going is seeing the impact that my work is having on the people I set out to serve, right? I've always said this, I think, with Baby Chakra, right? We were always in service of mothers and of families. And, there have been really, really tough times. They continue to, like, entrepreneurship is that, right? The highest highs, the lowest lows, right? I think every time as an entrepreneur, when I've kind of taken a step back, and it's never team, it's never investors, it's never none of that paraphernalia, right? It's actually when you take a step back and you go back to the core of who you're building for and why you're building this out. You see those stories, you reach out to a couple of your consumers and you hear, like, this is the impact you're creating on them. I think that gets you back on your feet in a way that nothing else does. I think the other thing I do, just like a hack that works for me, is if it's a really, really shitty day, I actually call it quits. I leave work early, I go home, I have a cup of coffee, I read a good book. Now I have a daughter who's really noisy, 4.5 years old. So I spend some time with her and I sleep. The next day is a new day, right? And you're back in office, you're back trying to win what you're doing, right? So I think that is like a maybe very stupidly simple. It works. I think sleep works. But go back to your consumers.
Can I quickly add to that? I think, when my daughter was young, and as you said, investment banking is very high pressure. It's a gladiator sport. You're out there alone, winning business, losing business. You lose business, you can't really discuss that with the team. You need to keep everyone moralized. And I think what I used to think in my younger days that I need to now go and spend some me time. And my me time was my time with my daughter. Doodling. I hate drawing. I was doodling with her, painting with her. I can't stand it. But I did it, And in my mind, I thought, great, this is my me time and I'm de-stressing. When I'm actually not de-stressing. As she said, 4.5-year-olds are noisy and very time consuming, right? So I think what I would like to tell you from my experience is that find something that is for yourself. That is not because you're doing it because your dad, I play golf, but I play golf because my dad loves it, right? I didn't now I love it, but I didn't love it because it was for me. It was not my calling, it was my dad's calling. I painted because my daughter liked me to paint. But now I do things which I like to do, which is including singing, which everyone in the house just runs away. I started, including Ashim bhai, who's my coach, he says, "Thoda kam gaiye Manisha ji, thoda kam, thoda sur pakde." I'm like, I am going to sing. So, as crazy as it is, it gets my mind off everything. Because when you're singing so badly, you can't even think, you can't. So please find something which is for you, by you, of you. And I didn't do that, and I felt burnt out when I went from UBS to Moelis, and it took me a lot of time to bootstrap a second startup. So, I just wanted to add to that because it was my learning from my mistakes.
I know you asked this question as a founder. I don't know if this will help. Years ago, I was walking on the road with a bag. Okay, I don't know how many of you have used this. It's an Indian brand, right? Baguette, right? They make like really light bags and very like water friendly. Okay, so I bought it one monsoon and it has lasted me over 10 years, right? So there's a guy on the bike who tried to snatch it, okay, and it didn't break. It didn't he wasn't able to with all his might, not able to snatch it from me. Okay, whatever the make and stitch and everything was, and I thought, hey, look, I saved a lot of hassle because of this bag. So I wrote to Nina Lekhi. And I just dropped her a message or an email saying, because I had a friend working at Baguette, hey, look, this happened and great job on the product. And she responded saying, this is the worst week that I've had because, not that she shared why. And this just email brought joy to my life and, wrote similarly worded wonderful things. So I'm just saying, as consumers, maybe we can also be cheerleaders because, we're part of this community. We can also be cheerleaders to then say, hey, look, I really liked it, appreciate it, because Naya might be having a bad day at work. And so please, yes.
You're really the reason we exist. And there's so many stories I can tell you about, in really, really crappy days, bad investor meetings, I think the amazing feedback we've had. Right, from a security guard, right? So many stories to tell you, I think.
Tell it in our show next time. I'll call you. Yeah, somebody from there had a question.
So I'm Kanak from Kanak's Kitchen, food YouTube channel, and I'm the MasterChef Season 1 finalist. So if you're not a good cook, please follow my channel, Kanak's Kitchen. Yeah. So I just wanted to ask you, like, people feel like it's a bit personal question. People feel you are so happy, you look so glamorous, you have a balanced life. But there are days when you're occupied with too much of work. Even you feel you're not getting good sleep. Even you are stressful. And is it okay to have that anxiety and stress? I just want to have that, like, from you guys. Like, is it okay? Like, how do we balance that? I'm sure this is a bit personal, but you're getting what I'm trying to say.
So as my daughter says, Mom, you're a plant with emotions. That's all you are. So, you know, that's really what we are, right? So we because we're so diligent and conscientious, we also, and we have high EQs, we feel the stress and anxiety a lot more than men do. And I generalize it, but I've seen it across my 30 years of career that, you know, we carry our worries and anxieties home. And as founders, I'm sure a lot more than what we do. So yeah, I think it's okay to feel it. It's okay to acknowledge it. I think because being a founder is such a lonely job, you sometimes don't share it because, you know, family members anyway don't know what you're doing. You're doing some crazy stuff and, you know, trying to change the world. And at work you don't really want to share it because you don't. So I think find ways to share that stress and anxiety. And, you know, I think that helps a lot. Whether it's, you know, I think the best thing is to carry forward in life your childhood friends or your college friends who have nothing to do with your business, right? I have a childhood friend, his name is Rocky, and Rocky thinks I sell ATMs for a living. I think I told you this, right? So the other day he called me really agitated and said, Manisha, this ATM just doesn't work. You need to do something. And I'm like, I'm trying to change the world. I'm not doing it. But that's how good it is because he doesn't give a shit what I'm doing. He doesn't care what I'm doing. He just loves me for what I am and I love him for what he is. And I think find that cohort around you, that ecosystem around you where when you go out for a drink with them or go out for a meal with them, they don't care if you want to share some anxiety, stress, and you don't want to share the micro details of anxiety. You just want to share some things. And a lot of times, the childhood friends will tell you, but, you know, a closest friend of mine said to me, I was telling him something about, you know, how stressed I am. And he's like, you know, but you've had this issue since childhood, so you need to work on it. You know, because they know you so well, they, you know, can actually relate it to you and say, this is your personality, and I don't think it's the ecosystem around you should be blaming. So for me, I would say carry your childhood friends or whatever, some group of friends which has nothing to do with work, you know, who's probably, you know, plays the guitar and, you know, whatever. Find an ecosystem of friends who are not just talking consumer and finance and,
not
you know.
related friends, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, guys, find people who just have nothing to do with your work.
I just want to what Manisha is saying. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful point. I think the second thing I think is also sometimes you might need professional help, right? And that professional help comes in two forms. One is a leadership coach. Many times we invest in properties, we invest in stocks, we invest in jewelry, we invest in everything, right? But in our children's education, in our homes, we don't invest enough in ourselves. A lot of my entrepreneur friends, including myself, have now started actually investing in getting leadership coaches because in every stage in life, you want to be the best version. I say this a lot. You want to play to peak potential. Right now, what is Kanak's peak potential? Is for her to discover, and sometimes it can come with discovery through a professional, trained coach. So I think investing in leadership coaches is something I would encourage everybody to do. The second, of course, if the stress is getting too much, it really helps, and it really helps to talk to a therapist. Why not? Like, I mean, listen, how much will you talk to your spouse, your partner, your friends? You know, after a bit, you're like a broken record. Right? Because entrepreneurship is all about that. Like the lows just keep on continuing for a while when they have to come. So you have to talk to a therapist and basically get the help that you need. And I think professional help is severely important, extremely important, especially in entrepreneurship.
Yeah, which is absolutely fine. I think it's very normal nowadays, right? Yeah. Thank you so much for that.
I think being a young person, I'm already getting leadership coaches from these talks and these and yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Nishita. I'm co-founder of Papa Possum for guys who have pets. We are Papa Possum, a natural product company for pets. Question I'll ask, but before that I'll just like to add everything that I heard today about the biases on the women and people talking about it 30 years back. I would like to say I have just been a new age entrepreneur and this still exists. I'm a graduate from IIT. There wasn't like there were 4 male toilets and 1 female toilet. We were a batch of 120 and 10 girls and 110 guys. So these things still exist. My co-founder Nikita, both of us are married, both of us are female entrepreneurs, and we walked into a investors meeting 1.5 years back, and the guy was like, okay, so someone addressed the question about, you know, if there's a female founder, तो आप pregnant हो गए तो क्या? So then you have the option कि co-founder है, but co-founder भी lady है. वो pregnant होगी, तुम दोनों साथ में pregnant होगे तो क्या? I think you should get a male person on your board, right? So these are the questions which are not a long back. These things are still there. So I honestly feel that I have been to a lot of these events, where I'm learning from people who have, all the women who have led us. I feel now we need to learn from you how you've built your career. Because I feel the challenges you have faced, we will face it, and that can be one part of the discussion. But if there is a 2-hour session, we would like to hear your business. Like, I want to know what Manisha did in her investment banking career, and not how did she overcome her prejudice. Half can be that, but I would want to know more about businesses. How did you build that? How did you build the unicorn companies? How did you get together? For me, Good Glam Group has been a miracle, because the way you guys thought through it, Naya, Priyanka, and the way you brainstormed it together is a miracle in itself. And these things are something I am really looking forward to. I'm so glad to be a part of this room today, to be able to experience and learn from such great people. One question that I genuinely had, Manisha, when you, 30 years back, not knowing the difference between dhania and pudina, and being able to come to this level, how did you keep yourself sane? And like mental health, I mean, I'm not ashamed to say me and Nikita both go to therapists, because we have our own challenges, and we don't want to burden our partners and spouses with it, So that time to wo bhi nahi tha. How did you cope up? Because biases ek hai, right? But you don't how do you handle that?
I think junoon tha yaar, thode pagal hi the, aise hi chale ja rahe the. Really, such में now, and I think I'm like, what was it? I say this 10 days into it's the point Paswini was saying. 10 days into having my daughter, I went and pitched a deal in Delhi. 30 days into having Tara, I was still nursing her, and I had to go to Bangalore for a day trip. I left her, and so all those kind of things which you would relate to, just very, very crazy things that one did just because I think the passion of what I did and the desire to do something for myself, to not rely on surrogate success was so much that it just drove me. Do I endorse that? I don't. I mean, in the sense, do I endorse doing that? Yes. But I think later in life, when I had all those, when I felt burnout, when I felt fatigue, is when I reached out to my friends, family. I'm going to say I lucked out with my husband just one time, because I think and that also because he came from a family of working women, right? So he understood the issues around working women. So I think I created an ecosystem later in life around me of friends, family who were compassionate, empathetic, and ready to help. So I think that's how I tumbled along. But I think I like what you're saying. I think the fact that you're reaching out for professional help is great, right? As you said, it wasn't there at that time. If you went and reached out for professional, people will think pagal hai or something, That's how an Indians think, right? I mean, see, yeah, exactly right. So, so you guys, you're doing that, that's great. Because, you do need that one person who's neutral and who can guide you, and you'll come to the solution yourself. You just need you just need to say it out loud and get someone who has the experience. So, good on you that you're doing that. It's lonely being a founder, it's lonely being an entrepreneur, it's lonely being an investment banker. So, not many people around us understand what we are doing. So, A, reach out for help. B, just have a cohort of family and friends, and see, as I said before, and I keep saying this, do something for yourself, right? Do something which helps you switch off from the reality of your work, right? Where you don't have to reach out for that phone. You do, for that at least 1 hour a day, get a yoga instructor who will make you chant Om 30 times, you by the third Om you may be losing it, and but slowly you'll get to the 5th Om or the 7th Om, whatever it is, right? Whatever it is that drives you, but please do something where 1 hour a day you can switch off, you will feel rejuvenated. I think I learned all this the hard way. I say this now like a wise old woman, but I tumbled along and learned how important all these things are. And I'm glad you're doing this right now.
All right.
So I'm Sangeeta, not an entrepreneur. I'm working with the private sector with Nokia, but it's lovely to be amongst such amazing achievers, and especially women. My question is to you, Manisha, and also to you, Naya. When you said about the dal chawal perception that you're supposed to go and get it, how do you shirk away this mindset? So when did it come to a point where you were stopped from asking for the pizzas and the coffees to be gotten by you? So
how did you deal with those, and do you think you're seeing a change? And if you did anything consciously to break that mindset, and same, I'm sure, Naya, you would also face this, and all of us do from time to time. So how do we do this?
Generations going first, because I think
So honestly, I haven't faced this because I don't think anybody's dared with me. Really. And you know, even when I was an analyst, and I've obviously had the good fortune of working in places, and I think that's the other piece, right? Sometimes we're like, "Arey, isi organization mein mujhe prove hi karna hai." Listen, you know what? Like, I mean, we have enough of those motivational quotes you see on Instagram, right? This flower does not bloom in this environment, but this flower blooms. It's true about people as well, you know. And I think you have to, first of all, there has to be an organization, personality, individual fit. If you're in an organization or you're in a family which does not understand who you are, and for some people, they love making dal chawal, right? That is their skill, that is their secret power, and I would love it. Like, if my husband makes amazing sambar, right? I love it about him, right? But I'm not that person. If my family or if my work environment requires that of me, I'm not going to thrive. So I think it's better to kind of extricate yourself from that situation and not even be in that situation, because there are enough and more places which do not require you, and I'm using dal chawal as a euphemism, to do that today, right? That's one. The second piece is put your foot down. It's simple, just say no, I will not do it, right? And if you need it done, then, you know, great idea. Someone needs coffee, here is another person next to me who can go do it. You want to ask him? Because I don't see the first time you say yes, that's it. Then you are the coffee person, you are the dal chawal person, you are the everything, right? I think that's been my answer. I don't think anybody's dead from the first time I said no. And after that, I think I've also been able to extricate myself from situations where I don't think I belong.
So I think that's what I love about the generation, which is why I wanted to go first, because I knew she would have this violent reaction. So I think, you know, because I think our generation wanted to be so conformist, right? My first report card was that of being a good caregiver. My mother has lavender smelling pillows in her house. That's the baggage I come with, right? My cupboard looks like a Holocaust hits it on a daily basis. So I come with that, yeah. So you know, so I wanted to be conformist. I wear a sari to work. I you know, want to make that dal chawal because, you know, it's expected of me. But I think what's changed, and that's fabulous, is the attitude of this generation. This, you know, I don't give a damn, you know, I don't care. And you know, while she says you can extricate yourself, I couldn't extricate myself because that was the clients all around me. It doesn't matter whether I work for UBS or Goldman or McKinsey. The clients around it expected it. And I think because I wanted to be so conformist and so pleasing of everyone, because that's how we were brought up, I conformed to all of this. But I love this about them. They don't give a damn, right? They're like, what the hell? I don't know how to make it. Find a husband who can do it, or find a maid or something. It's great, right? This is what you and I should have done. I faced objectification. I faced trivialization. I faced wrong, you know, comments which should never have been made towards me, moves that should never have been made towards me. But I accepted it because I thought that nobody would believe that, you know, this is happening. And what's really good is, of course, there are founders like her. Easy for her to say it because it's her company, but also today organizations are so aware. There is HR, there's, you know, gender awareness, there's, everyone has DEI as an agenda. Nobody had those agendas when we started off, right? So I think the ecosystem's helping you, and I think if you're not a founder and if you're in an organization, reach out to the people, you know, in the organization, and they will help you extricate, because I think today it is such a big agenda for every organization to be seen as more diverse, right? Because it makes good economics. So yeah, so long-winded answer, but I love what she said.
But don't stick around in places that don't value you. I think that's the underlying point, because life is too short.
Yeah. And I think it completely makes sense, and my daughter is here, she's taking all of it.
Cool. I think we'll have some more time from the speakers for y'all to interact. But thanks, Payaswini, for getting it. We loved it, and your stories, of course, were inspiring. Okay, I know you all want to hear more of stories, and we will keep doing these sessions. In fact, the next one we're planning to do it in Delhi. So for those of you who've flown, really appreciate it. For those who haven't, we're coming to your hometown very soon. I really want to share one thing, that in life, you have this one moment, you know, where you just stop and think that, how have I reached here? How did I even come here? You know, how am I standing here? And I think I have to give it to my mentor, Ruchir, who is here. He's really helped me, guide me through, you know, right from the concept stage. Ruchir, please come here. We'd love to see you. he's been through the thick and thin of everything, and I have loved hearing him from time to time, being with him in the law firm and then now while building W.I.P.E. So have thoroughly enjoyed my time, and I'm doing it. So I'd love to, pass the mic on to Ruchir, because he's really been the pillar of strength for me.
You know, some of you will be wondering that what is this man and some of the men here doing in a completely women-only event. I can tell you that is the price that you get when you sponsor and you work with such beautiful women like Radhika. You know, it was 3 years back when I was setting up my firm, and I found this very cute little young girl, all of 20 years, bade chashme, writing some great content on LinkedIn. So I sent her a cold message. I said, Radhika, will you work with me? She said, what do you do? I said, I'm a lawyer. She said, but what will I do in a law firm? I said, I don't know. But, if two intelligent people, or maybe at least one, which is her, we work together, we'll definitely achieve something. And she started working with us. And I said, but she's extremely driven, And every time I was just telling Manisha she was here, we just closed a $2 billion deal, 16,000 crores. And she said, it's amazing, this great deal. I said, thank you, but, she said, congrats for this. And I thought she's saying congrats for this. I said, thank you, but this is really my dream. Because those things keep on happening, but this is true redemption. And, I worked with Radhika, and we said, there is profit, there is passion, and then there's purpose. And if we pursue the purpose, I don't think there's any end to what we can achieve. And I'm so glad what beauty she has achieved. Every time somebody said Radhika, I heard Ruchir 100 times, in the word Radhika. And I am so excited, little, you know how old she is? She's just 23 now? 23. She joined us when she was 20, and she's done such phenomenal work, and not just in India, but in New York, in Europe, in even countries like Palestine, connecting all the women together. And now she's in London, and every time, she's redemption, for whatever hard work we've done, because I think one is obviously the work that we do, but I think this is really the excitement. So, and she's done a phenomenal job, and I'm very excited, and I think all the team here. And by the way, I can tell you, she's not this way. In office, she's very, very quiet, okay? And sometimes when I go with her, every evening, she comes with me in the car. And I said, Radhika, you will be the biggest influencer. You're really changing the world. And with her innocence, that is absolutely endearing. She would look at me and say, really? Every time I speak to her, she's like, really? Will this happen? And I said, yes, it's happening. And it's happened. It's already happened. This is the first event. And now she'll be doing much more. And I tell you, I always tell that in this world, there are people who believe they can outsmart the others, very smart. And then there are those people who can charm you with their innocence, And I think that innocence, that restlessness, that passion, that excitement, to me, that is Radhika. To me, that is radically yours. And that is the W.I.P.E. movement. Women in private equity and enterprise. And that's entrepreneurialism in my mind. So thank you very much, and thank you, Radhika. I'm so delighted to be her prime assistant here. She's my boss, So हम लोग जो है सारे ऑफिस के अंदर मैडम बहुत ही ज़्यादा चीज़ों में बिजी रहती है, छोटे मोटे काम हम करते रहते हैं. तो अभी पूरा ऑफिस लगा हुआ था इस इवेंट को करने में. But I'm very glad that she's here, and she makes all of us extremely proud. I think the very few days I've been so happy, and I was telling some people here that if there was a happiest day in my life, it is today.